All right, hello and welcome back to probably shouldn't be recording this episode 15. Big deal, big deal. Thank you guys for tuning in again. I uh, I do really appreciate it. It's been a fun little self journey on this podcast, and it's become very important to me. So I will continue to do it. My apologies for it coming a day later than normal. I uh, I now work overnights, so I'm having a little trouble adjusting to overnights. Um, because everything I've looked at, like I've looked into it, like what's the best way to sleep? What sleep pattern should you use when you're doing overnights? And I'm like, okay, so a lot of them just recommend like getting home and going to sleep right away, which is what I've been doing. But also, like, I want to still help around the house, and I have kids to pick up from uh, bus stops and whatnot. So I still want to be an active participant in my house. And everything I've been looking at is like, oh, just go to bed right when you get home, and then whatever. So I've been going to bed when I get home, sleeping for like an hour to 2 hours, and then doing whatever I need to do around the house, whether that's empty the dishwasher, wash the dishes, uh, clean the cat box, empty the trash, take out the recycle, um, pick up the living room, whatever it is I can do to help my wife, so that she's not stuck with having to do every single little thing around the house, because I am definitely not one of those husbands that expects the wife or the to do all the cleaning and the cooking. And I love cooking. I'm okay at it, but I love cooking, and I love being able to take that responsibility off my wife's shoulders every once in a while. Uh, so I'm not. It's been an adjustment for me because I want to help. I like my literally my favorite thing to do at home is help my wife with whatever she needs. Um, so yeah, it's just been an adjustment, and I couldn't bring myself to record anything when I got off work. I was so like I didn't feel like a real person because I was so kind of like tired but wired, and I don't know. It was just a weird place to be in. So I stopped. I decided I'm not going to record yesterday. I just got some coffee from my friend's coffee shop, Good Bones in Denver. If you are in the Denver area, I highly recommend it. It's the only coffee place I've ever been to that sells lattes and also guitars. And it's incredible. I've known the owner for, gosh, since 2009, so like 15 years. And it's just super awesome that she's got this coffee shop. They've kind of blown up on social media because they did a TikTok that featured the owners acting out a scene as if someone was getting a latte, and they topped the latte with cinnamon, but in the words of "fuck ice." So it has blown up in the best way, and I love that for her and her husband. So if you're in Denver, if you want good coffee, it's called Good Bones, and I highly recommend it. So this podcast is going to be kind of short. Uh, but I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. I'll save the more serious stuff for last. But where I work, I'm working transportation, paratransit. So I help drivers get to and find their passengers and make sure everybody's leaving on time. Um, but since I am in dispatch, we are in charge of the drivers. So if they need to call in sick, they have to call our cell phone. And um, I've been a supervisor in a lot of roles. I've always been kind of in a manager role. So this, I think I've said this before, this is one of the first jobs I've had in many, many years where I'm not in a leadership role. Um, but so drivers will call in and say that they're not able to make it in. And some of them will just say, "Hey, I'm not coming. I'm not making it in today." And that's my preferred excuse. I don't need a soliloquy of what's going on in your life and why you can't make it to work. If you can't make it to work, you can't make it to work. I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm not going to um, pry because it's not my business. If you don't want to come to work, if you can't make it to work, you can't make it to work. Um, so I just find it funny that sometimes, like when I took a call in today, the guy literally talked for 5 minutes before he said he wasn't coming in, and the whole time I'm thinking, I was like, "Bud, just tell me you're not coming. I don't need I don't need an excuse, quote unquote. I just need okay, you're not coming. Okay, see you when you come in next time. Have a good day. Bye." And Monday after the Broncos won their little playoff game, uh, we had 18 callouts. It was a no good, very bad day. Luckily for me, I don't work on Mondays anymore. So, but apparently people were calling in, and it got to be so much that the GM of the place I work at was calling people back like, why aren't you coming in? What this, that, and the other? And that is not something I will ever do. If I am asked to do that, I will probably have to quit because that is not my business. You can't make it to work? Cool. Thanks for letting me know so I can get your route covered. That's it. I don't need to know if you're like, I mean, I'm not like poo-pooing people if they give me a reason. That's fine. And I understand the need of people to want to give reasons why they're not coming in. Like, I get it. But me, I don't care. You're not coming in? Cool. Thanks for letting me know. Uh, I just always thought it was funny that, you know, people will call in, and I'm sure in some of these situations they're sitting there like looking at the phone, preparing their excuse, whether it's legit or not. And it's like, and I just want to tell everybody, and I've told drivers, I'm like, dude, when you call in, if you're not going to make it, just tell me you're not coming in. That's all I need. When I call in to work, which is very rare, all I say is, hey, I'm not coming in. And they say, cool. That's all you need. So, but I mean, we work in a society where most places will, guilt you for not coming into your job. And people have so many different reasons to not come into work, and that's their business. So I'm not gonna guilt trip anybody. If you can't make it, you can't make it. Cool. But I mean, like I said, we live in a society where people get fired. People are made to feel like they're weak for calling in. People are made to feel like they're less than a good employee for calling in, and that's just not the case from my perspective. Um, so yeah, if you guys have to call into your work, I'm pretty sure there's a rule or a law. Like, you can't legally ask people why, or like, it doesn't. So if you have to call in and just say, hey, person, boss, not going to make it in today. That's all they need. No need to give long diatribes, long explanations. Say, hey, not making it in. Sorry. That's it. This has been a work life tip from yours truly. Um, and one last thing I wanted to talk about also happened at work. I have a fellow employee who's just getting out of a long-term relationship where it hasn't been good for a couple of years. So, okay, you don't have a stop sign. You don't have a stop sign, sir. Drive. All right. My apologies. Back to what I was saying. So we have there's a fellow employee that's getting out of a long-term relationship, and it wasn't good for like the past couple of years. So he was talking to another male coworker about having a date, and that he was excited, and for some fucking reason he was like really hopeful that he was going to get laid out of it on a first date, coming fresh out of a relationship for multiple years. Didn't make sense to me, but I mean, I'm not in that position, so I can't relate. But anyway, the topic got around to like sexual stuff, and there was another person was asking him, well, you know, what if the date doesn't go like you're planning? And the guy that I'm talking about made a joke about roofies. About, well, there's always roofies. Joking, and they're yucking it up, and I'm mad. I'm mad. So they leave, go their separate ways. He comes back up and grabs some stuff that he needs from me, and I'm giving him the cold shoulder because, like, I want to call him out on it, but I don't want to make a scene at work. But he notices, because I'm pretty chummy with this guy normally, we get along. Um, he said, "What's wrong? Are you mad at me? Like, why are you mad at me?" And I literally, as loud as I could without making a scene, I said, "We don't joke about roofing anybody." And I said, "Look, man, I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have a sister who's been sexually assaulted. That's never anything you joke about, ever. You never joke about that shit, you know." And I could see that it hit him, and he went away, like tucked his tail between his legs, and uh, came back about 5 minutes later, and he apologized. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I kind of got, you know, sometimes I don't think before I speak, and it's not something that I would ever do, and I was just making a joke, and I calmly reiterated, roofing people is nothing to joke about, ever, and I can see that he valued my opinion, and I can only hope, that it resonated with him, that he never does that kind of stuff again, because you never know, um, like, what's going on. Um, I don't put up with that shit. There's no boys will be boys. There's no, oh, it was just a joke. There's none of that shit with me when it comes to that. Um, and there shouldn't be with anybody, but particularly men with wives, daughters, mothers, brothers, cousins, whatever. We don't joke about roofies, rape, anything like that. Oh shoot, my wife just got home. Okay, well, I will delve into this more, but yeah, that's never a good thing to do. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have to go anywhere, go with love, and I love you guys. Bye.